Everyone thinks they know how Hollywood stories end. Fade to black, rolling credits, a neat little bow. But sometimes, real life in this town refuses to follow the script. And when it does, it leaves everyone staring at the screen wondering how things went so wrong so fast. This is one of those stories. And no, this isn't the version you've heard whispered in comment sections or half-read in headlines. This is the full, messy, unsettling Hollywood tale that keeps getting darker the more details come out. Because when news first broke about Rob Reiner's death, people didn't just gasp, they froze. This wasn't some retired celebrity quietly fading away. This was a Hollywood lifer, a name that felt permanent, a man who had been part of the entertainment industry for so long that most people assumed he'd always be there, somewhere in the background, cracking jokes, directing scenes, or showing up at award shows looking exactly the same as he always had. And then, suddenly, he was gone. At first, the story seemed confusing. Then it became tragic. And now it's one of the most disturbing Hollywood stories in years. Here's what we know so far and why this case refuses to stay quiet. In the days immediately following the deaths, Hollywood did what Hollywood always does. Tributes poured in. Friends and colleagues shared emotional memories. Fans posted clips, quotes, and throwback photos, trying to make sense of how someone so familiar could be gone so suddenly. The tone was somber, respectful, and full of disbelief. People were mourning a legend. But behind the scenes, something wasn't sitting right, because very quickly authorities made it clear that this was not a natural death, and it wasn't an accident. What initially looked like a devastating personal loss began transforming into something far more chilling. Investigators confirmed that Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele, were both victims of homicide, not days apart, not hours apart, minutes. According to official findings, both died shortly after sustaining fatal injuries, the kind of injuries that leave no room for misunderstanding what happened. And just like that, the story changed. This wasn't just about loss anymore. It was about violence inside a private home, a place that was supposed to be safe, a place associated with family dinners, holidays, and quiet moments away from the cameras. Instead, it became the center of a criminal investigation that shocked even seasoned Hollywood watchers. As law enforcement pieced together the timeline, the details only got heavier. The couple had not been attacked by a stranger breaking in from the outside. There were no signs of forced entry, no mysterious intruder vanishing into the night. This wasn't a random act, which meant the questions became impossible to ignore. Who was there? Who had access? And most haunting of all, who would want them dead? The answer to that last question is where the story takes its most uncomfortable turn. Authorities arrested the couple's son, Nick Reiner, in connection with the killings. 2 counts of first-degree murder, special circumstances, no vague language, no ambiguity. This wasn't speculation. This was a formal arrest. And that's the moment the entire conversation shifted from sadness to disbelief. Because Hollywood scandals are one thing, family tragedies are another, but when those two collide, it creates a kind of shock that people can't look away from, even if they want to. Almost immediately, reports began surfacing about Mick's mental health struggles in the weeks leading up to the incident. Diagnoses, medications, behavioral changes, stories of erratic behavior that, in hindsight, feel like warning signs no one realized were leading somewhere catastrophic. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, here's what's important to understand. None of this excuses what happened, but it does complicate the story, because this isn't a clean narrative of villains and victims wrapped up in a neat bow. This is a family unraveling behind closed doors with consequences that ended lives and destroyed what was left behind. Sources close to the investigation say Nick had been struggling deeply. Friends noticed changes. Family members reportedly tried to help. But as so often happens, help came too late or didn't land the way it needed to. Hollywood loves to talk about mental health now. Panels, interviews, hashtags, campaigns. But when mental illness collides with privilege, pressure, and family dynamics, the results aren't always the inspirational comeback stories people want to hear. Sometimes the outcome is tragic, irreversible, and impossible to undo. As the case moves through the legal system, Nick remains in custody, awaiting his next court appearance. He has not yet entered a plea. The legal process is ongoing, and prosecutors are expected to pursue the charges aggressively, given the severity of the crime and the evidence reportedly involved. Meanwhile, the rest of the Reiner family has gone silent. Rob and Michele's surviving children have issued brief statements thanking people for their support and asking for privacy. And honestly, it's hard to blame them. Imagine losing both parents in one night, then watching the story explode across social media, cable news, and YouTube thumbnails, all while the accused is your own sibling. That's not something anyone is prepared for, famous or not. One of the most heartbreaking details to emerge is that it was their daughter who discovered the bodies. No dramatic movie moment, no cinematic buildup, just a real human being walking into a nightmare that will likely follow her forever. That alone has left many people shaken, because it strips away the celebrity layer and reminds everyone that at the center of this story are real people experiencing unimaginable trauma. And then there's Hollywood's reaction. Tributes continue to roll in, but now they're tinged with sadness, confusion, and a sense of unfinished business. Colleagues remember Rob as sharp, generous, and endlessly passionate about storytelling, someone who loved debate, humor, and pushing creative boundaries. Many admit they're struggling to reconcile that image with the way his life ended, because no one wants a legacy defined by violence. And yet, that's the cruel reality of how these stories work. No matter how full a life is, the ending often becomes the headline. Of course, the internet hasn't exactly helped. Conspiracy theories have already begun circulating. Some people question the investigation. Others speculate about motives, inheritance, family tension, or hidden arguments. And while curiosity is human, it's worth remembering that much of what's being thrown around online has no basis in confirmed fact. This case is still unfolding. Evidence is still being reviewed. Court proceedings haven't even fully begun, and yet people are already trying to write the ending. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We may never get an ending that feels satisfying. There may be no explanation that makes this make sense. No single moment that once revealed suddenly causes everyone to nod and say, "Oh, now I understand." Because sometimes there is no understanding, only aftermath. And that's what Hollywood is sitting with right now. The aftermath of a family destroyed, a career cut off in a way no one expected, and a reminder that behind the glitz, the wealth, and the carefully managed public images, people are still people, flawed, vulnerable, capable of breaking in ways no spotlight can fix. If there's any bitter irony here, it's that Rob Reiner spent his life telling stories about humanity, about relationships, about conflict, about love, misunderstanding, and redemption. And yet his own story ended in a chapter no one would ever have written on purpose. As the legal case continues, more details will likely emerge. Court documents, testimony, expert evaluations, each one adding another layer to a story that already feels impossibly heavy. And when it does, the conversation will start all over again. Was this preventable? Did someone miss the signs? Could something have been done differently? Those questions don't bring anyone back, but they linger anyway. For now, what remains is grief, shock, and a Hollywood community forced to confront something it prefers to keep hidden. That fame doesn't protect you from tragedy, and success doesn't shield families from collapse. This story isn't over, not by a long shot. And as it unfolds, we'll continue to follow it closely, cutting through the noise, the rumors, and the speculation to focus on what actually matters. Because behind every headline is a human cost. If you want to stay updated on this case and other real stories coming out of Hollywood, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. This is Inside Hollywood, and we'll see you in the next one.